So yeah, we'll give this a whirl. Some of you may have seen this or been aware of it. It's from a film called Join or Die, about the decline of volunteerism in our country for the last 50 years. Some of you were at the showing that we had at UPAC in Kingston at the end of October. Cindy, I know you were there, and Peter, you were there. There might
Yep.
Robin, you were there, and so it's pretty dramatic. But we'll see if we can get this to work. And it's not working. Of course, it's not working. Why wouldn't it work? We'll try it again. One more time. There it is. Okay. Y'all see that?
Yeah. IOOF.
Okay. Let's go. Give it a shot.
Sound.
Yeah, Tony, you're not sharing the sound.
Ah, thought I did. Ah. How do I do that quickly? I thought I had it when I set it up on my screen originally. All right, you know what I'll do? I'll send the video around to everybody. The movie is on the movie's on Netflix called Join or Die. That some of you have seen. I know Jack has seen it. But it's pretty dramatic. Not only service clubs, but EMS, fire, just about anything to do with volunteers in our country downhill. And I know we all feel the effect of that in our clubs and in other places in the community. And then the average age of the ones that are carrying the load is also pretty high. So, you know, in 10 or 15 years, you know, who's going to be left to carry the ball, so to speak, and the workload. So, you know, that's why we're doing what we're doing, trying to grow clubs, trying to get younger where we can. Typically, satellite clubs, companion clubs are younger than their sponsor clubs. So that's the goal. So let's see if we can get into this PowerPoint now, and hopefully that will work. How are we doing there?
There we go.
Here we go.
There we go. All right. So what's going to happen is Cindy, Jack and Cindy are going to share the first few slides. And then I don't see Wendy Maitland on. Is she on the call yet?
I did not see her.
Okay. So we'll just go right to Woodstock if Wendy doesn't appear. And so that's what we'll do. All right, so I'm going to just give a quick overview of what we have. So the Rhinebeck Satellite Club was our first club, started in 22. They meet once a month in person. Now all satellite members have been converted since to active members of Rhinebeck, but they still meet once a month. Rhinebeck is a lunch club, and the whole point of doing this was try to offer another option to meet, but still within the purview of the Rhinebeck Club. They don't have a separate budget. They kind of help the Rhinebeck Club with service projects, fundraisers. They're truly a companion club to Rhinebeck. The next one that started, Peter Sullivan, was very instrumental in getting off the ground. The Ellenville Rondout Valley Satellite Club, Walden was the sponsor. That started shortly after the Rhinebeck Club. They meet twice a month in person. Current membership is 9.
Right.
Yep. Peter, thank you for your efforts there. The Eco Satellite Club, sponsored by New City Rotary. They meet at the Cropsey Farm, and I think they were intentionally set up as a environmental club specifically. And they meet twice a month as well, in person. And I think they do a hybrid, or sometimes they do online. Their current membership is 9. And then the Woodstock Club that Robin and Rachel are a part of, sponsored by the Kingston Rotary Club. A little over a year ago, they meet twice a month in person. Their current membership is 10, and you'll hear about how they started and what they're doing these days. And then the Kindness Club, which is the most recent satellite that we've formed, is sponsored by the Minnesink Club. They meet twice a month in person, and they have a big deal tomorrow, I think, don't they? Some kind of a induction.
Yes,
Jack?
we're inducting the members, the charter members, officially tomorrow afternoon.
So that's what we have. And, I think we've done pretty good in a few years with starting up these satellite clubs. The question is, once they get started, what happens to them? So we're going to talk about some facts and fictions and about this, and why sponsored clubs are fearful or very concerned about starting a satellite club. So we'll advance to the next slide here and let Jack talk about that. Jack, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Tony. This slide shows the facts about why we should start satellite or companion clubs. And we want to think about them as companion clubs because that's a model that seems to have been working in our district currently. And before I say a lot about the facts, if we hadn't started these satellite clubs, we would not be showing any growth in our district over the past couple of years, I believe.
That's true.
To be true. Also, we all have to remember that all of our clubs were sponsored by another club. So it is the way to grow our Rotary impact here in the Hudson Valley area. The nice thing about a satellite club, you only need 8 members to start it. So that's an easy way to get something going, especially if we could get some of our bigger clubs to sponsor. The sponsor club can set their frequency of meetings, time, day, and place. So they do really offer more flexibility. And when we're thinking about companion clubs, some of our clubs in our district are not getting great attendance. Perhaps people's lives have changed or something. So if we consider sponsoring clubs that meet at different times or days or places, we may be able to gain more members in our district. Let's see. And again, it increases our ability to expand our reach locally, nationally, and internationally. As the Kindness Club is an example of that. They have members all over. They have members in Flushing, Queens, I have found out too, just recently. So it does offer us a different perspective. It can be more affordable because they could be focus groups. They don't have to, maybe they're not a dinner club. Maybe they just meet, do a service project. Maybe they just have a drink, do some business once or twice a month and move on. So it doesn't have to be sit down dinner and spend a long time. I want to also let everyone know that it's important to remember that the members of a satellite or a companion club are members of the sponsor club and therefore covered under the Rotary insurance. Satellite clubs hold regular scheduled meetings. They organize service projects and they have their own club leaders. As one thing that is important with successful satellite clubs is the communication between the satellite club and the sponsor clubs. And sponsor clubs do provide the advice and sort of the Rotary way, teach the Rotary way. There's so much information about Rotary that the sponsors club, and when they're successful, they have frequent communications about that. Also, I want to say that the district also supports the satellite clubs. I know myself, Tony, and Peter all were involved in the formation of the most recent one, the Kindness Club, and I will say that getting that club off the ground was probably a lot of work, but one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in Rotary recently. I feel like we've expanded our growth, and we'll continue to do that as we go through. So that's just some facts about satellite clubs, and there's great reasons to do it. Just a few things that are fiction and not true. They're not a separate club, a sponsored club. They are, sorry, satellite club they're not separate. They are members of the sponsoring club. They may choose to become a separate club once they reach 20 members, or 12 for Rotaract, but they can continue as satellites forever, or companion clubs, and that's the Rhinebeck Satellite Club, which has been a very successful model for us. There's no financial concern for the sponsoring club. Budgets are set by the sponsoring clubs, as well as fundraising projects. And again, they fall under all the Rotary insurance. And I'd say that they're not a threat to the sponsor club in any way. Anyway, they, what should I say? More hands, less work. That's what's happening in Minnesink Valley Club and the Kindness Club. I'm seeing how they're working together and doing some of the same projects and some new projects, and really making an impact in the area. Okay.
All right, thanks, Jack. Again, we're going to have enough time for Q&A at the end about facts and fictions. Next, we're going to move to Cindy, and why these are important. And Cindy, for many of you, I'm sure you know, she holds a really important job in our zone as the Rotary coordinator, which essentially is the membership chair for the zone 32. And so we're thankful to her, obviously a past district governor, but she continues to serve and, grow Rotary, which, if we don't do that, folks, we're going to have problems pretty soon. So Cindy, I'll hand it off to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Tony. I appreciate it. And it's a pleasure to be with my home buds here, my home district. I love it. Being here, it's great to see so many smiling and wonderful faces. So the first thing that I'm going to ask, and I'm going to say, is if I were to ask you, what is Rotary? How many of you would say, I can't see everyone, but how many of you would say we're a service organization? Raise your hand. How many of you, if I said, what's Rotary? You'd answer, we're a service organization, right?
Yes.
Well, I've got news for you. We are a membership organization that does service, that focuses on service. We are a membership organization first and foremost. Rotary was started as a membership, a group of people who got together because they wanted fellowship. They wanted to work together. They had high ethical standards. And then service came along. So we've kind of lost sight of our core here in that we are a membership organization. Now, I'm not saying we need to throw away service. That's who we are. That's what makes Rotary so special. But in the end, we are members. And it's crucial, especially in our district and in our zone, that we look at membership as our #1 priority, because we are truly in a crisis situation. And that's not me that's saying it. That is the top leaders in Rotary that are saying North America is in a crisis when it comes to our membership. So here are the facts. We have been declining for the last 20 years or so. And the clubs or the districts that are growing because they are starting new clubs. End of statement. That's it. Whenever you look at any district that has grown in North America, it is because they have started new clubs. So a lot of this is looking in the mirror and looking at the club experience and what is making our clubs attractive and what's making our clubs not so attractive to younger members or any member, no matter what your age is. Is it something that's appealing, or is it something that people look and they say, oh, Rotary, that's a bunch of people who don't do anything. That's a bunch of people who just want to have lunch. That's a bunch of people who just give out scholarships. So we need to look at our club experience and make sure that all of our clubs are vibrant. And as Louisa Horn said 7 years ago in Hartford, and now it has become Rotary's mantra, we have to be irresistible to people. There has to be a reason, a hook, why people are joining. Now, what we've done in our district is we've beat this attrition attraction. So our attraction consistently has been around 15%. Now that's about average, but when you're looking again at what we need to be is more at that 18 to 20 for our attraction. But where we've hit it and where we've been really good is our attrition. Last year, we were around 15. That's why we were at 15.6. That's why we were under just a little bit. But the year before we were at 14%. That's when we were able to grow because we had that percentage point. 2021, we were at 12.20. And then in 2020, we were at 14.9. So that's been our personal district sweet spot, has been really looking at our members and nurturing our members and making sure we're listening to our members. And where we've been able to grow is through those clubs, being able to bring in those 8 members, bring in those 20 members. And that's really been important. So when we're looking at that, it's so important to focus on what your club offers and what would make your club attractive to the members in your community. Because when you're looking at satellite clubs, which is the way our clubs can look at growing, when we look at starting new clubs in the district, we're looking for the district to come and identify that. But what your clubs can do is look at a satellite club, that companion club. So when you're looking to do that for your club, what in your area is missing? Is there food insecurity? Is there a water project? Is there a cleaning project? Is there something in your area, in your radius, that your club can identify and then say, hey, we can attach onto that, and that's how we can grow? Or is it simply listening to your members and you're a lunch club and half your members can't make it to lunch? So then you want to start something at breakfast. Then you want to start something at dinner. It can be, I hate to simplify it, but it can be as simple as that. And your members can drive that. So it's important to look at what your club is, what your club can offer, and what your club can look like. And then what are your club's strengths? Is your club really good at fundraising? Is your club really good at mobilizing under a different task? Is your club really good at partnering and collaborating with a local organization? That's the other hook that you can look at to forming a new satellite or companion club. And the last thing I want to focus on is when you are developing or looking at that new satellite club, there are really 2 mindsets and 2 models to think of. One is that partnership, having a group of people who don't ever want to leave your home club. It's simply an alternative to what they're doing. They want to focus a little bit more on a project. They want to be able to meet at a different time, but they're really happy with the direction that your club is growing. And the second one is one where you know they really ultimately want to be on your own path. So you're really going to take them in, help nurture them so that they can then launch on to their own agenda, walk that path, and then collaborate and partner with you later on. But ultimately, it's important to know that we're all members of Rotary. So we shouldn't be looking at it as, oh, this is competition, or this is going to take away from my club or a partnering club. In fact, it's the opposite. What we have found is that clubs that sponsor another club or clubs that sponsor a satellite club are healthier, stronger, and are growing more and attracting more people than clubs that aren't, clubs that are stagnant. So that's where I'm going to leave it right now.
Great. Thanks
You're
so much,
welcome.
Cindy. Appreciate your insight, because you see this all over in multiple districts, and we appreciate, that we have someone who gets that insight and is willing to share it and bring it back with us. So thank you so much. So next we're going to hear from what Cindy was describing as a couple of alternatives, and past President Wendy Maitland did join us, and from the Rhinebeck Evening Satellite is what they were known as. But Wendy will tell us about the formation, and I think I mentioned earlier that the satellite members did get folded into the Rhinebeck Club, but she can tell us about why they started it, how they started it, and why they made that decision to fold them back in. So Wendy? You're muted, dear. Hello, Wendy, you're muted. Wendy? Wendy, we can see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. I think our district governor knows sign language, so if you want to get into signing, he could probably help. Wendy, all right, so here's what we're going to do. Why don't we move to Woodstock while you figure out how to get unmuted? Are you on your phone?
Okay.
Oh, there you go. You got it.
I got it. I got
Okay.
it. Sorry.
Okay. No
Very
worries.
sorry. I'm so happy to be here. I had a meeting that went late, so I'm not on my computer, but it's all good.
Okay. Thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you. And Cindy, Cindy's starting us off is perfect, because I can jump off of a couple of things that she said, starting with, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, great. Okay. Cindy, one of the most simple things that seems obvious, but often isn't, is the time of the day. So Rhinebeck Rotary Club has had a lunch meeting forever on Mondays at 12:15 p.m. And as our former membership chair under David Ping, when he was president, started to learn, there were people who just could not make it at lunchtime. It's a different world, and we want our membership to be diverse. And, when you have a meeting during the workday, people just can't often make it who would love to participate and be a part of the organization. So I think that, frankly, that's the number one reason why we wanted to start an evening club, and to make it a satellite club at the time structurally made sense, because we were able to get certain advantages from the greater Rotary organization financially, which meant that we could also offer some sponsorships to younger people who offered other services. For example, Kate Kester, who was 26 years old at the time, who's a social media wizard, was able to join. She wouldn't have been able to, A, she wouldn't have been able to afford to join, and B, she wasn't able to make it on Mondays at lunchtime ever. So it sort of killed two birds with one stone. And she was also able to offer her services, and that really kicked off our social media drive. And it's been phenomenal. So not only were we able to diversify and reach out more broadly, our social media was also able to grow as a result. So we really kicked it off with about, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 people who just immediately signed on because they were able to make it and they were excited to join. We also were able to have it at this great restaurant in Rhinebeck called the Amsterdam, which attracted other people, and, you know, having hors d'oeuvres that we provided and cash bar. And furthermore, we structured it as a monthly meeting once a month. So the demand was less, and on a quarterly basis, we decided to make our Cocktails and Conversation, which is what it's called, Cocktails for Charity. And that was another driver for an attraction for people, because we invited and engaged people to make recommendations of who they felt would be a great organization that Rotary should kind of get behind, that was consistent with our values and our mission as an organization. And that was another driver. So we were able to grow this organization, this satellite club, and really membership was the big drive. And I took over membership very shortly after the satellite club was started. And it was so helpful to be able to say, you know what? You don't need to leave work. You don't need to come to a lunch meeting every single week. Just show up once a month and join us for cocktails and meet new people. And by the way, do you have an organization that you're passionate about that we should consider? And believe it or not, that's a huge draw for people, because most people who join, who already have service commitments and are committed to other organizations, are really excited to broaden that mission. And it sort of just worked beautifully that those members, you know, supported us. And by the way, a lot of the organizations that we featured drew their supporters, and then their supporters also wanted to join our satellite club. So it sort of dovetails. And I think that if you're thinking about starting a satellite organization, I would encourage you, and you're welcome to call me or email me, and I'll be happy to meet with you anytime, because it is a huge club growth element and driver.
Wendy, what kind of attendance are you getting now at your satellite meeting? How many folks are showing up?
Well, we just changed the venue and the date and the day of the week for lots of reasons. So it's gone down just a little bit, but we're getting about, and we did fold those members into our general membership.
Right.
And basically we folded them into our general membership just because the financial advantage went away for our club to have a separate club.
Right.
So
that's a 2-year commitment from the district, is what you're saying.
Right.
And that expired.
that
So,
just expired. Yeah.
got it.
But you know, I think drew over 20 members through our satellite club,
Yeah.
which is pretty healthy. And now they're all folded into our normal
Yeah.
membership club.
And you're retaining them at this point. They're still can
Yeah.
meet once a month, or the lunch members can go
Yeah.
to the 6 o'clock meeting once a month.
Yes.
So, and if you can ever
Yeah.
make a lunch meeting, you go to that.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's worked beautifully. And a lot of the satellite members, even before we folded them into our club, would just, they show up at our lunch meetings whenever they can.
Great.
And they also bring speakers. And so I think that also the thing to keep in mind is encouraging participation and involvement on multiple levels, and reaching out and saying, you know, I know that you cut hair and we're supporting your Haiti organization. And we would love it if you would come and, you know, show up at our golf tournament for an hour and, you know, offer a
Okay,
couple of free
gotcha.
haircuts.
Okay, let's move on to the next model. Thank you, Wendy, because we want to hear
Of course.
the other part or the other approach, which is in a different geography. Woodstock used to have a Rotary Club, its own freestanding Rotary Club. Back in 2012, I think they had to give up their charter for lack of interest and involvement. So I think Rachel Jackson's going to kick it off because she was the spearhead in trying to get this formed. Rachel was a member of the Kingston Rotary Club, but lived in Woodstock. So Rachel, I'll hand it off to you, and then Robin Kahn, who's the current chair, will tell folks what's going on with the club.
Right. Thanks, Tony. One thing though, you made a mistake with my email address, so no one can
I
contact
did.
me. It's Gmail, not Yahoo.
Yahoo. Okay, sorry
Okay.
about that.
So I'll go right to it. Why
Yeah.
did we form a satellite club here in Woodstock? Well, first to save time for me because it's a 30-minute drive from where I live to Kingston, where we met. And Woodstock, as a small town, has its own needs. For example, its local economy can grow. The poverty rate here is 13%, which is high. There are immigrants living here who do the work we don't want to do, who earn very little money. They need help. There are many older people who live in this community, most of them alone, and most of the time, I heard, on small fixed incomes, and many more issues that we can help. What did it take for us to set it up here in Woodstock? Well, our immediate past DG, Peter Sullivan, reached out offering to help us set up our club. He was already setting up one in the Ellenville area. And the first thing he and I did was to work on a club brochure using the resources on the Rotary.org's brand center. And then Peter introduced to me a graphic designer, his friend, to finalize that brochure. We printed 150 copies of them and dropped them off at various offices in town, especially the town offices, which is the largest employer of Woodstock, library, which gets a lot of traffic, and storekeepers. We spoke with the shop owners and their employees to give them away, encourage people to pick up the brochures, and also ask them to give us a call. We put our names and contact details on the brochures and maybe attend one of our meetings. We kept it general in the brochure when we were meeting. Call the president when you, if you want to join us, something like that. Next, we worked on inviting a bunch of people, almost all the people I knew that could be Rotarians I contacted to join a series of informational meetings that Peter moderated between October 2022 and June of 2023, because he became DG July 1st, right? And Tony took over from July 1st, 2023. So the first meeting ever was October 24, 2022, held at Red Onion's private room. And we would get about a dozen, 10 or 8 people each time. We held about 10 of these informational meetings over the course of 9 months. There was a core group of 4 people who were always there, but the other attendees would come and go and eventually dropped off. How did we find these people to go to our informational meetings? Mainly through personal invitations and spreading the word through our friends. And then on April 24, 2023, Peter and I, at Peter's invitation, had lunch with our town supervisor, Bill McKenna. He brought a couple of his colleagues. The purpose was to ask his help and support our club formation, and also to invite them to join our club. As I mentioned, from July 1st, 2023, when Peter began his DG term, Tony was nice enough to come over and help us. He hosted a couple more informational meetings at private homes to get us up to 8 people, the minimum required, right? And at some point after that last meeting in September of 2023, I felt that Tony was ready to give up on us. After all, he had been working on it for some time along with Peter. It took us exactly 13 months to get going. So two of the core group members at some point said they wanted to host the meetings at their respective offices. One was Mark, a realtor, and Deborah, a bank manager. So we did that. But we still had a problem. We still had only 4 committed members. So fortunately, Tony used all his tricks to convince the town supervisor, Bill McKenna, to join, and he did. So when he joined the meeting, he said that he was grateful to Rotary because his son, who was in high school, got a scholarship through Rotary. And so he joined us. And then through Bill, we met Anula, who joined us as well. So now we were up to 6. We were still short of 2. And we were like scratching our heads. So finally, I went back to 2 people close by who were attending our informational meetings but dropped off eventually. One was Wendy, our next door neighbor, and the other is Bruce, my husband. But each one separately said, Rachel, I'm going to join you if you can find an 8th person. I'll be the 7th. So with the 2, I had 8, and that's how we got to 8. And then Tony decided that our starting point as a club would be October 2023, because that's when all 8 were there and going. So at this point, I want to thank Peter for his valuable advice and resources spent in Woodstock for almost a year. And I want to thank Tony for his guidance and inspiration for us to be a vibrant club. And that's really it. Oh, I want to say that thanks to both of you, we now have 10 members who are energetic and opinionated and generous and committed to giving back to the community we're in. Making social and business connections is a byproduct that we each like about belonging to this club. And we hope to grow our members by keeping our present members engaged, and they'll spread the word with doing good, inviting speakers to talk to us, and Robin will talk about that later, and thinking of fun ways to raise money for causes that each of us cares about. And with that, I'll give you over to Robin, our club chair.
Thanks, Rachel. Thank you, Robin. Go ahead. Tell us.
Sure. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Robin Kahn, and I am the chair of the Woodstock Satellite Club, although I don't live in Woodstock, nor do I work in Woodstock. I'm actually living in Saugerties, and I work in Kingston, but I'm very close to Woodstock. My home is closer to the village of Woodstock. It's closer to Woodstock than it is to Saugerties. So I find myself going to Woodstock more often. And I had the pleasure of meeting Rachel through another friend, a mutual friend. And Rachel invited me to these informational meetings with Peter and Tony. And I had a need to do some community service work and meet people since we had moved here full time. And I was working, but I wasn't doing any service-oriented projects, which I had done for many, many years where I lived before in New Jersey. But they were revolving around my children's schools and also our synagogue. So I wanted to, since I didn't belong to a synagogue here, and so I wanted to do something that, was helpful to the community. And Rachel and Tony and Peter all convinced me that Rotary was the way to go. So I said, sure. So last year, Mark Hanter was our chair. He's a real estate professional in Woodstock, and he ran the meetings, and he got us involved in some different service projects with regard to also like coordinating with Rotary. So there was Rotary Day of Service. We did, a clean sweep in town, Woodstock, where Ulster Savings Bank sponsored and gave us different things that we would need to do the clean sweep, the garbage bags and all of that. We worked with the town also, So we went out in a humid, rainy day and picked up garbage along the roads. And that was great. It was wonderful. And then we also, dovetailing with what Wendy was saying, we're trying to hook into different organizations that are already in Woodstock that we can partner with. And also, dovetailing with what Cindy said as well, we're trying to find those organizations that we can hook into and work with. And so one of those other organizations was the Como Stewardship Advisory Committee. And Como is a property here in Woodstock where people can hike. It's a beautiful nature preserve. So we worked with them in their cleanup of their trails, and come to find out that there's actually a Woodstock Rotary gazebo on this property. And it was like, what? Because as Tony said, there was this prior Woodstock Rotary Club. We don't know, we don't know who they were. We have no information really on them. But they built this beautiful gazebo. So we helped the Como Advisory Committee, we helped them with a cleanup of the gazebo and the trails. So that was something that we had done. We also have provided volunteers to the Good Neighbor Food Pantry. There is food insecurity in Woodstock, which I frankly was shocked. I had no idea. And I went a couple of weeks ago because one of our members, she does a regular stint there once a week, and she couldn't make it. She was away. So I said I would go. And I was like, wow, this is, eye-opening. I really had no idea. And it was older people. It was mostly older people coming, I thought, who are facing this crisis of food insecurity. And it was very, very upsetting. But also heart lifting, enriching this, here
Yeah.
they're coming in and they're getting the products that they need, and to find the trucks that are coming and the food that is being donated.
Hey, Wendy, I don't mean to interrupt you. I want to leave time for questions. And so can you
I'm Robin.
oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Robin,
Tony.
apologies.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I'll finish up, wrapping up. We're doing a lot of speakers. We're having people come speak to us, and we're trying to hook into different organizations. And we just had our first and biggest fundraiser, where we partnered
Yay.
with White Feather Farm, and we had a musician come and sang songs and told stories, and we raised close to $6,000 or $7,000.
Wow.
And we will be doing, and also we had a silent auction where we got donated items, and we were able to auction off those things.
And
So we still
and
don't have like, the
sponsors, right? You got sponsors too.
and we have sponsors. Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Staffing, Miller and Kahn and the Jacksons
Fine,
for
that's fine.
sponsoring. But yeah, so
Okay.
we made maybe close to $7,000. Some of those will be going to scholarships, but we need to focus on membership. And I take that seriously, Cindy, and I appreciate you reinforcing that. And we're going to work on that for sure.
And you just brought in 2 new members within the last few months, so y'all are doing great. Let's just open it up now to some Q&A from or observations that the clubs that are on the screen may, have concerns about, or, what will it do to our club? Will it destroy the culture of our own club? And how much work is it to start a satellite club? So let's open it up to some questions. You can all unmute yourself. Selves.
Well, I had a question, but it has to do with the responsibilities of the sponsor club. What are the responsibilities of the sponsor club to the satellite club? Because Tony, you're amazing, but I don't feel that there's a lot of communication. We have some communication from our sponsor club, but and that has started more recently, I think. I mean, we had one meeting where we did get together with the other club, which was wonderful. But and just recently we're having communication. But should there be more? Should there be something else that's being done? I feel sometimes.
Yeah, there should be. Yeah, absolutely. There should be more nurturing and more joint activities as much as you can. I mean, it's so again, if it's a geographical issue, that might pose a little bit of a, because you could always do the Zoom, but geographically, yeah, you should be doing more. If it's more of a companion club like the Rhinebeck model, which is in the same town, that becomes easier in my mind. Someone else may
Yeah.
want to answer that.
Yeah.
Peter or Cindy?
I've had several people say it's like when you get a puppy, or if you have a baby, you can't just, okay, here you go. It takes time to nurture. It takes time to build those relationships. And it takes time to understand what Rotary is and what we're about and why we're here and why we're such a great organization. So if you're just left out there to kind of, flounder, it can be very challenging. And clubs need to have a support system. They need to have someone that's there to mentor them, to look after them, to answer questions, because sometimes it's just that question or two that can make a difference in either sparking a new idea or actually diminishing a flame. So if you're a sponsor club, try and get someone to those meetings. It doesn't always have to be the same person. But if you have a seasoned Rotarian, that doesn't mean an older Rotarian, but a Rotarian who's been in Rotary for a few years, who kind of understands the ropes, and send them off, have them be that buddy that your club needs. But it also, if your sponsor club, if it's a geographical reason that they can't make it there, then where's your next, where's your closest club? Because even just to have a Rotarian with some knowledge and understanding attend your meetings can help, even if it's not the sponsor club. So yes, get someone there and have them help.
And I would just add to that to make sure that the sponsor club doesn't do the reverse, which is kind of smother the satellite club and say, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. This is the Rotary way. I think the new world of Rotary is some individualism in terms of your community, and make it happen your way. And some of the Rotary formality falls by the wayside, quite frankly, in terms of the structure of the meeting. But the underlying principle is understand what Rotary is all about. So yeah, I mean, I can say it. I think Kingston probably can do a better job. If I get hit by a flying refrigerator,
Yeah.
Only one.
I can chime in too, that when you are geographically separated, like Allenville's like a half an hour from where Weldon Rotary meets. And so it is a distance, it is a hike. I am the mentor to that club, continue to be. So there's me, but there's not much else. And I think the distance really is the cause of that. It's an effort to get other people coming. And the new club doesn't necessarily want to report directly to the host club about everything they're doing, because they don't want to be told, well, that's not how we do it, or that kind of thing. So there's that going on too. But yeah, I do take the point, Tony, that alternating people, getting additional people involved is a good idea.
And
Yeah.
maybe you
Yeah,
can
can I
have some
chime
type of-
in with something?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, my camera's not on. I'm actually driving, but someone, I think Tony, you mentioned something about ruining the culture of the club. So I totally hear that and understand it, but I think we were extraordinarily lucky in Rhinebeck that the sponsor club was so open to evolution, at least the leadership. But as you know, I was the leader also of the satellite club during my second year, I guess, or starting in my first year. It's a very delicate balance, and you don't want to bring on change too quickly in a culture, but as important is openness to evolving the culture. And I think that's critical to keep in mind, and not to do things abruptly, but to have a discussion and an open discussion about changes and how each club can sort of evolve to meet the needs of prospective members and current members simultaneously, and to make it a club that is encouraging of a more diverse membership and a more and a growing membership. It's going to change, but and that has to be done in a way that's respectful, but also understands that the world is changing, you know?
Mhm.
Okay, let's get to some of the clubs. Like Greg, please go. There's some great clubs on this call that probably could or should have satellite clubs, and I want to thank all of you for being on. Greg, please lead us.
Well, number one, I believe that I'm from Wallkill East Rotary Club. I serve a few other things in the district, but the thing that seems to stand out for me from listening to everybody is, well, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth and I'm going to volunteer myself as somebody who's not in any of the supporting clubs. And those of you who know me know that once I say I'm willing to do something, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I volunteer myself to any of the satellite clubs to come as somebody who's been in Rotary for 40 years, who's held various and sundry things other than being a district governor. And I would be more than happy to speak, to be off the record, to give you my email, to give you my cell phone number, to be another place where you could bounce something off. And everybody that knows me in Rotary knows that once I say nothing ever goes any further, it never goes any further. So I wanted to volunteer that. And the other thing that I wanted to mention without using up too much time is I think we have an incredible opportunity in a little city called Middletown, New York. I'm not quite sure what to do or how to do it. I'm going to be very honest about that. I know we have a Middletown Rotary Club. I know all the positives and negatives about it. I won't go into that. But I think we're missing something when we're excluding a major city in the county of Orange. And I'll just leave it at that. And I'd love to work on that with whoever is willing to work with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a great idea to have Wallkill East start a satellite club in Middletown. Jack, go ahead.
I think Wallkill East has the manpower to do that. The Kindness Club, which is sort of more on the other side, Port Jervis side of the area, and they also are involved in Middletown downtown as well, but another satellite would be good. And I think it could start up pretty quickly because you guys are a breakfast club. And I'll be honest, I haven't been to your club because it meets at 7:30 in the morning. And retired at this point in time.
Retired
Jack,
school
I'm going to
principal
come
that
by and
doesn't
wake
get
you
up.
up at 6:30 one day just so that you show up.
But yeah, no,
So,
that is an area that is ready to grow.
Judy
All right,
Klein,
Jack, I'll
Rockland
talk to you
County
more
is
about
such
that
a
tomorrow.
let's just move on to Rockland County because it's a very dense county with respect to population and Rotary clubs. And I'm curious, Suffern Rotary is a great Rotary club. Why don't you all have a satellite club?
Well, actually, and I want to start by apologizing. I came home late from work, and Cindy, unfortunately, you probably answered this question, so I feel badly even asking. But Wendy sort of spoke to it to some degree that I wanted to ask. Wendy had mentioned that most of those members in the satellite club had been folded into the main club. So my question really went to the autonomy and independence of a satellite club. Are they their own separate thing? I understand from the current discussion that, that it's important to have the mentor club have some involvement, but I'm kind of not certain where the boundaries are and what the goals are in terms of the club's meshing.
So they are members of the sponsor club.
Okay.
But they are a separate club in and of themselves. So they
Sort
decide
of a sub club?
Yes.
Yes. So
Canyon.
they decide when they want to meet, where they want to meet, what their focus is, if they have a direct specific focus, if they want to be more of a social club, if they want to, do cocktails for charity, like Wendy's
Right.
club. was
Right.
originally started. They make those decisions.
So
on
it
their-
doesn't eviscerate your membership, and what you were saying was this is not a competition. In that sense, they remain as members of your club, but a club within a club, a clublet.
Correct. A
Correct.
clublet, yes, exactly. So
Okay.
Suffern is a lunch club, right?
Yes, and I just did
So-
a quick 10-second survey of my members, and 2/3 said we'd love to meet at night.
Okay,
Shocking.
so you could start a satellite. Now the key is the district incentive pertains only to new members. So if you transferred 8 members from the lunch club to the evening club, no district incentive. You don't get the $49 waived. They have to be new to Rotary.
Yes.
So
Got it.
you can certainly, you could do 4 and 4, and you can just keep adding.
Mhm.
Because it's the club count as of July 31st. And
Right.
however you've designated these people in Club Runner, specifically as satellite or active, the satellite members will be eligible for the incentive, which is kind of what Rhinebeck did.
Mhm.
So, but they're still meeting. So they took advantage of the opportunity to bring people into Rotary, and those people are bringing other people into Rotary. So, they took advantage of the system.
Mhm.
The other thing I would like
Okay.
to note about the Rhinebeck Satellite Club, because I've been to that one. I haven't been to the other satellite clubs, so I can't speak for those. The Rhinebeck Satellite Club is fun. They have so much fun at their meetings. I'm sure the other clubs too. So I'm not saying the other satellite
Exactly.
clubs don't have fun, but that has been a huge draw for that club, is the fact that they're going in. It's very social. You're meeting
For
new
sure.
people, talking about things. It is, and the energy in the room when you go in is very high, and people want to be a part of that. So whether it's a satellite club or your own club, make sure you're looking at that aspect of your club meeting, because it's really crucial to your members wanting to be there and for attracting new members in.
And there's no alcohol involved. So no, I'm kidding.
What?
Rachel, can you just
What
can you just
meeting
hang
have
on?
you been
Gotta
at,
go.
Tony?
Bye.
No, I'm only kidding. Rachel, just hang on to that, because I want to make sure people especially Richard, Steve, Ed Lynch, from clubs that don't have a satellite club. I'm curious to know why, and you're here, which thank you is huge. Why don't you think you have thought about a satellite club prior to this? Go ahead, Richard.
Pure and simple, in spite of asking people to take responsibility for it, I've been unable to find anybody to take charge.
Okay.
And
Fair enough.
we all recognize the value in the various things that Cindy and others have mentioned. We see the value in it.
Yeah.
We're
Be a
all
mentor.
too busy doing other things to take on something new. And if anybody can send me the pill to take or to give people to remedy that problem, I would gladly send you a thank you note.
Tony,
May I
Go
ask
ahead.
you
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
question?
Hold on,
Oh,
hold on,
sorry.
Wendy. Let's get Rachel had her hand up. Go ahead.
me, right?
Yeah.
So one other benefit for the clubs here that don't have a satellite yet is this. For example, Kingston does this radio days ads once a year. And when they did it last year, they opened it up to us. And our members actively sold those ads. And we gave them the money. And theoretically, they could keep all of them, just give us a commission. But they returned to us all of the money that we gathered. But in the future, I'm sure that since they're doing their thing with those monies, they would probably just want to share it with us, not give it back to us 100% for our own projects. But it was a very nice gesture. My point is, you can just add more members for your service projects and fundraising projects. Like we've helped them also with their cleaning of Rotary Park. A couple of our members went there. And things like that. So it's synergistic. It's not competitive.
Ed Lynch or Steve Crew, why don't your clubs have satellites?
I will say, first of all, our club, I know Todd shown some interest in a satellite last year. And we also thought about Beacon as a place that really needs something there. But of course, Fishkill is closer to Beacon than Wappingers Falls, so it'd be more inclined to think that Fishkill would take the lead in that. But I know Todd, our main concern in the past was, first of all, we didn't think about satellite clubs. Secondly, we had enough of a problem maintaining our own membership.
Right. No, I know that.
10 years. But this past year, we've grown quite a bit thanks to Todd's enthusiasm. And I know right now, I think Todd is concerned that trying to start a satellite club may siphon off some of those members that otherwise might join our club. But at the same time, I'm thinking that a club that meets at a different time on a different day may draw a different set of people than what we have right now.
Right.
And certainly, I think there's enough businesses in the Wappingers Falls area that we could support an additional satellite somewhere in there.
And y'all are a noon club, right? Noon club?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, over 50% of the clubs in this district meet at noon.
Yeah.
Which is old school Rotary.
Yeah.
So.
No, unfortunately, 3 in my region meet on Thursday at noon. So.
Well, I mean, who meets at 6 p.m. for,
Yeah.
you know?
Nobody anymore.
Yeah. So anyway, Ed Lynch, and we won't put our district governor on the spot, but we'll put you on the spot, Ed.
Well, I got stuff for you if you need it.
Well, Tony, everybody's great to see everyone. Sitting here and trying to think about, my club and how it relates to what's been said. We've had the luxury of growing without too much difficulty. But I will say that with size has its own set of challenges. And as I sat back listening to what others have said, and I've thought about this a lot myself as past president, assistant governor, all that stuff. Our situation might be where we just have so many people that we have, I think 75 now, Leo,
Yeah,
I'm not
that
sure.
neck of the woods, 4, 5,
Anyway,
6.
But we don't have 75 people coming every week. Let's put it that way. We meet every week, every Wednesday at lunch. So there's a reason we don't have
Warwick Valley, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah,
that's
sorry
club,
about that.
Warwick
Valley. We not everybody comes every week, so there's a reason for that. And secondarily, folks that aren't able to come every week take advantage of 2 other things that we do. We have an evening function once a month, sometimes twice a month. We call it a spirits night. It's not really a meeting, but it's a get together, and we do get to know each other and kind of talk shop a little bit. And we also have a monthly, maybe 9 months out of the year anyway, we have what's called a makeup meeting, where somebody dedicates their home for the club to bring a dish and share. And we have not so much of a meeting, but a lot of fun. So there's a reason that people go to that don't always come to the weekly meetings. So I was thinking, as people were going around the room here, maybe in our club we might take a survey, as was said earlier. Someone took a survey just to see if there's interest. Maybe there is interest for an evening or a breakfast meeting time, wherein instead of looking at it as a minus to the club, if somebody decides that's better for them than the lunchtime, it's just an extension of our club, as was said earlier, and an opportunity to recruit more people to that time slot.
And maybe retain some that can't. show up
Exactly. I was going there, Tony. Exactly. There's people that eventually might fritter away if they just can't consistently come to meetings and feel like they're not part of the team. The other thought I had was, and Leo and I have talked about this and others in our club, we have a geographical issue in Warwick. We have the luxury of being, I think, the largest town in the state, 100 square miles. So we've got fairly distant folks in Greenwood Lake over this mountain that has been on fire quite a bit lately. We might be able to consider having a satellite club in a different geography within the town of Warwick as well. So, like everyone else, certain people are more amenable to a lunch meeting than others. That's one aspect of a satellite club, but also we have a little bit of a geography challenge too, if we wanted to grow that way. So those are my thoughts.
Okay, great. Leo, you have any thoughts on top
Yeah,
of that?
so actually, Tony, this is something that I've wanted to try to get done in Warwick for a while now.
Yeah.
And, we looked at doing a morning session and there was really a whole lot of interest in it. And at the board meeting, it was decided that, look into it, but it's not really something that's going to be all too feasible. So what I've already started doing is, Greenwood Lake is a prime example. So I looked at where are the Lions clubs. So there's a Lions club in Warwick, New York. There's a Lions club in Greenwood Lake, and there's one in Florida. So how are they able to represent and we're not? So I put together a proposal from a 7:15 meeting on a Thursday in Greenwood Lake and a 6 p.m. on a Tuesday in Florida that's going to get presented to the board. And with only needing 8 members, I think it's something that we can do as opposed to trying to take our existing members, our club, and starting some type of other meeting in Warwick, because the pushback, it was a lot. But if the Lions Club can do it, why can't we do it?
Yeah, exactly. And you have a lot of great mentors in your club. Speaking to Richard's point about, how do you parse out some of your existing members to guide and nurture, as Cindy's point was. So that's a good point. Thank you both. I want to hear from Liberty because they're another great club. We have a lot of 5-star clubs on this screen. And Gary Lee, what are your thoughts about that? And I know Jack has thoughts, but I want to hear from you first.
Well, I came here mainly more of a fact-finding experience than anything else, but we have, I guess we're a dinner club, and we think that we're probably missing some of the people that might be better able to do lunch, particularly people that are in the area for business. There are people that don't necessarily live in the area, but they have huge impact in our community. But they come here for whatever their employment might be. So that's an area that I think we have the most likely chance of having a satellite club for.
Okay. Jack, you have additional thoughts?
You're muted,
you're
Jack.
muted there, big guy.
You're still muted.
Yo, first Zoom meeting?
Yeah, no, only the second, really. But I was going to say, we have the opposite because we do meet at dinner. Some people don't want to come out at night. We are attracting younger members, and that's an issue for them when they have young children and school activities. So our evening. So I always think that if we had another option, that might also work for it. And also Sullivan County's kind of unique. And there's 3 clubs up there, and maybe like a county club would be kind of interesting, or somewhere out in the west. But there is some room out there.
By the way, Leo, I know he disappeared from the screen, or Ed. I thought he was going to. You all have some kind of a bourbon night, don't you? Have a bourbon night that you do every so often, or bourbon and something else?
Yeah,
I'm partial to bourbon.
Warwick, I
sorry.
should say too.
I'm partial to
You and I
bourbon.
years ago started a thing called the Old Fashioned Club. And the idea was to hit all the restaurants in town, see who has the best old fashioned, and talk a little bit about Rotary. Turns out that I don't like old fashions. So we changed the name based on a member's recommendation to Spirits Night. And as Ed said, Ed said we talk shop. I'll go with that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's akin to the
Just a little.
cocktails for charity. So you just got to come up with a catchy little term there.
I wouldn't mind an invite to that.
Well, you wouldn't want to come then this Wednesday or next Wednesday at Baird's Tavern for our holiday Spirits Night. Because that's going to be a good one. We've got 30 or 35 people coming already.
Greg, there's always an open invitation for you, buddy.
Right, thanks.
The Highland Rotary Club has been working with a group of folks in a local senior center. And while on the surface, you might think that's not exactly what we want to do because most of the satellite clubs have younger members in their sponsor club. But we had a fella in Highland join at 65 years old. His name is Rafael Diaz. And Rafael served faithfully, did our newsletter for 15 years, started a runners club in the Highland Rotary Club, and kayak. I mean, the guy was amazing, and he just started slowing down at like 80 or 82. So they're pretty close to starting, I think, talking to Steve Lawback, they're pretty close to starting a satellite club at the Vineyard Avenue Senior Center complex. So Carrie had her hand up. Let's go to her.
Oh, great. Now, all right. I lost my mute button. Touching on one of the things I think Jack or Gary said with Liberty, with the families and stuff like that. This kind of came out of me being up at the Zone Institute. And then I found out that one of the clubs in Region 1 is also trying to do something similar, where it's involving families in Rotary. So my club is currently working on, we've put some feelers out here locally. We've got a bunch of people who said that they would definitely be interested in learning more about it. And we didn't bring Rotary into it or anything. We're just, would you be interested in getting your family involved on a regular basis with service and getting together? So the idea is, and obviously we're in the very early planning stages, but it would be to have a satellite club that meets once or twice a month. One is a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting if they work it out. The other is a service project for the whole family. The Interact kids would come and help keep the younger kids in line and work with them. So it gives them some leadership skills. You would have a built-in early act club, and the parents get some time to get together and do stuff, but they're not worrying about, where the kids are and things like that. So we are hopefully, I would love for it to be by this time next year, but we're hopefully having an info night in the spring for parents once we get through the holidays and everything. And we've put it out there to our town and a couple of surrounding towns who also have Rotary clubs. We're kind of going with like a county idea, like that county club idea, to start but we've gotten great feedback so far. And I know Northern Columbia, they're doing something similar where they're just inviting families to the meetings and kids are welcome to their meetings at night. And it makes a difference for those younger.
For young folks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that, Carrie. I'm glad that you chimed in with that, because when they brought up family, I thought, Carrie.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome.
So listen, I think this is the beginning. This is not a one and done type of a situation. I kind of get the takeaway for me is that some of our existing satellite clubs need some support even beyond their sponsor club. Sponsor clubs, yes, but other satellite clubs as well. So maybe we'll do another one of these just with sponsor clubs, and anyone else who wants to chime in. Clubs that are, again, 5-star clubs, in my opinion, that could spin off an alternate time without breaking the culture of their club in half or creating a lot of angst. To Richard's point, yes, we do need folks that are willing to guide this process, and the smaller clubs may struggle with that, but it doesn't have to be somebody necessarily from the Hyde Park Club. To wit, Peter Sullivan and I, we're around doing stuff for Woodstock and Ellenville, and it doesn't matter. I mean, we can get other people on the membership committee that are willing to perhaps do that live in that geography.
Yeah.
So just as a thought. So it's 8:15. I know this is normally everyone's conditioned to an hour meeting, so thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you to the presenters. Thank you to the presenters. Jack, Cindy, Robin, I apologize. I have to buy you a glass of wine for calling you Wendy.
Ooh, all right.
There was a Wendy on the call. So
Thank you.
It's Wendy.
And Wendy and Rachel, thank you so much. And this is the beginning, folks. I think this is the only way we're going to do this is to stay at it as a group and keep talking about it and keep encouraging clubs to think outside, throw the box away, forget thinking outside the box, just throw the box away. And how do we promote and preserve and celebrate Rotary? All right.
All right.
Fabulous.
Thanks, Tony.
Good meeting.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tony.
folks.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
pulling us all
Good night,
together.
everyone.
Thank you
Yeah,
for doing
wonderful.
it. Thanks.
Yeah,
All the
Tony.
best.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Mm.